Okay guys, we're back. I think I mentioned to you guys too that you can hit this and it'll put dashes at the end of the sentence, or you can do Alt D. Alt D will put dashes at the end of the sentence too. So you can be anywhere in that sentence, like right here, and push Alt D, and it'll put dashes at the end of that sentence. Okay? So it's also the same as the equal. All right? All right, any questions about that? Kind of stuff we've already gone over, not that big of a deal. Huh? Yeah, now we're going into form fields. Kind of pay attention to this. This is where you can add the blanks. So when you were having trouble with your, this will show you how to put a blank in there.
Let's take a quick look at how to add or modify an Eclipse form field. Here, X marks the spot where I'd like to insert a form field for my exhibit number. I can get to the Add Blank dialog by clicking on the toolbar icon, or by going to the Edit menu to insert a blank, or by using Speed key Control A, or hyperkey capital E. The field label is totally up.
So it's capital E or Control A, okay? So most of the time you're going to be in hyperkeys anyway. So it's just kind of easier to do the hyperkey Shift E, okay? Or you can do Control A, which is add a blank, okay?
It's just a name that will appear on your blank.
So when you go in and you want to create this form field or whatever, add a blank, it's going to say the field label. So what do you want it to be? Well, it's the exhibit number, or whereupon blah. Well, that's going to be like the state, defendant, respondent, all of those. So you don't want to put number where it's supposed to be like state, defendant, respondent, movement, any of those, okay? So you want to come up with something else. So, you know, I would just put maybe like movement. Like who's doing it? Who's the one who's initiating it? Well, it's a respondents. Okay.
Before you fill it in, the field size here will be irrelevant because I want this to be an adjustable field that will automatically shrink or grow to accommodate my text.
This is real important too. Always check this, because it doesn't really matter how big or small it is. It's going to conform to however big it is. So say you have intermediary petitioners, exhibit number 1. Holy cow. Well, you left the space for 20, and intermediary petitioners, I don't know how many it is, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 20. Okay? So now you just kind of messed yourself up. It's always better just to put adjustable. Okay?
I want this to be an adjustable field that will automatically shrink or grow to accommodate my text. Selecting a variable, in this instance, tells Eclipse to remember the last exhibit number and show it to me, but prompt me so that I can change it to the next exhibit number. When I press the OK button,
You see what it's doing there? So like you don't have to guess or like, oh man, what number were we on? And you know, if you're in a capital murder, you could have 500 exhibits. And you're on 437 and you're like, we need that next exhibit marked.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, one, you should have a sheet telling you exactly kind of what's going on and you're keeping track or whatever. But if not, this thing will help you.
Okay. and-
You do the EN, the capital EN for exhibit number. I'm going to rewind it just a bit.
I think also earlier I was having trouble.
in this instance, tells Eclipse to remember the last exhibit number and show it to me, but prompt me so that I can change it to the next exhibit number.
You see what it's
When I
saying?
press the OK button,
So it's going to prompt you for the next exhibit number. Okay? Well, the last one was 436. Oh, okay, now I'm on 437. I know. Okay, no problem.
So like
the blank is created for me.
524.
And let's also make a blank
And
that uses a file listing parties. I want this blank to act as if it
That's what I was thinking. So now it's the party. So now it's the state, movement, respondent, intervener, any of these, okay? And that's what it is. That's what, it's going to be the party, okay?
Or the last field. Now let's fill in these blanks. This number blank is remembering the last exhibit number and making it easy for me to change to the next exhibit number.
You see what it did? You see what it did right there? By putting that EN and putting prompt me for the next one, that's what it's doing, okay? So, good, right there. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna bring it up in the blue. Well, 237, is that the next one? No, that's the last one you marked. Okay, now I know it's 238, no problem. Got it?
After I filled in that blank, the system scans to the next blank and offers me a choice of parties. When I press the OK button, the scanning stops because this blank was set to act as a last field.
Got it? See? No?
I
So
guess
how-
it would just help, like, if you saw the actual form that you're talking about, or like, the documents for us to see, so
Yeah.
that we could know the different blanks in a particular
There's one up there,
document.
isn't there?
Yeah,
Um,
people always have one, but
You
just,
What's that?
A transcript?
Yeah.
What is he saying? Did you say the number
just to
one?
identify with the
Yeah.
different titles.
Okay.
We did these in Corpus.
Hmm?
We did these in Corpus.
Okay. And if for some reason you did want to write it out, I think you use settings that how to. I think that it would kind of. What I, do you know if I want to ignore everything that's.
See if there's an exhibit.
That's a big one.
Okay,
This
so
should
probably one.
No, come see it.
Exhibits 9. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like right here, guys. I know that it's kind of hard to see, but right here on exhibit, it says exhibit
Number one.
number 1 marked. That's not the way you want to do it, okay? This should say like state's exhibit, petitioner's exhibit, some kind of exhibit. But, I mean, this is kind of an example here. And really what it says is that it was the curriculum vitae as an exhibit. Let's see on page 48. See, they did it again. Exhibit number 2 marked. Kind of the way,
Okay, so what you're saying is,
kind of the way we're gonna do it, but not, okay? Ours is gonna say like state's exhibit, defendant's exhibit, respondent's exhibit, some kind of thing like that, where it just says exhibit marked. That doesn't give the reader, that didn't give you, anyone who's reading this thing, any idea which one was even marked. You know, was it the state that marked it? Was it the respondent?
So, okay.
So it's a little bit difficult right there. So it's not actually going to be like that, but once we start messing with it, we'll see, okay? And we're getting really close. So how do you fill in a form field?
E. Alt
E. How do you enter
Alt E.
E? E. Just E.
How do you enter E? Well, that's what I said at first.
How do you enter the form field? How do you like you're gonna like we just learned how to add a blank, which is a form field. So how do you fill in that blank?
E.
E. Enter. So it's gonna come in, you know, that little blue part right here.
Wait, so why didn't I just do that instead of...
Let's take a quick look at how to add or automatically shrink or grow to accommodate my text. Selecting a variable, in this instance, tells it and show it to me, but bit number. When I press the OK or hyperkey capital E, the field label blank dialog by clicking on the toolbar icon or by going to the edit menu to insert a blank, or by using speed key control A or hyperkey capital E. The field label is to next exhibit number. When I press the OK button, the blank is created for me.
And that's
And
what
let's also make a blank
Alrighty.
that uses a file listing party. When I press the OK button,
This is what I'm talking about right here. So this blue field right here is what you're wanting to get in to fill in, okay? And when you see this blue field right here, you know that something needs to go in there. And that's when you push E to enter the field to fill it in, okay? So what were you saying? Why didn't I just do what?
Why didn't I just do all that, like the control A and stuff, instead of, like, remember when it wouldn't have, like, it didn't have my blue?
Because you were gonna have to do it every time. Because in your block file, it was correct.
Oh,
But when you read in your block file, it didn't know to put in that field. So you're gonna have to do it every time. You didn't want to do that, okay? Any questions about form fields and adding a blank? So these are form fields right here. So when you push E, you see how it brings you in there? Fill in the blank. What do you want to put in there? So push E wherever you guys are, and it should take you to that form field. And then just kind of fill it in.
With whatever you want.
Yeah, your name or whatever. So it's E. If you haven't written that down, may want to. Kind of important. So when you're in here and you don't really need it, so say you have like 6 lines right here and you don't need all 6 lines, you just need 5 of them and you need to delete one or whatever. If you press enter, it should take away that line, okay? So when you push E, it's gonna come up here to the first line, you have stuff that you need to put in there, you put it in there. Once you press enter, it goes to the next line. Once you've filled it in with information, it'll go to the next line. You know what, I don't need anything there. So if you leave it blank and push enter, it's gonna delete that line. So be careful if that's not what you wanna do, because usually that's what it's gonna do.
Mine didn't do
It didn't?
that. Like, you just press enter without, like, with it blank?
If it has consecutive lines, not just on up here where you have, are you right here? didn't. I don't know why it didn't. It should delete the line, okay?
Or you can do Control Y.
That is, yeah. You can do Control Y, very good. So if you're here and you do Control Y, okay? But you shouldn't have to do that. If you just press enter and leave it blank, usually what it's going to do is take it out. Trying to figure something out, guys. Okay, I'm trying to see how this thing is working here. And I think what you have to do Okay. I think what you have to do is you have to go into your block files and create these little things for like the months, states exhibit. I mean, when it asks for certain things like movement, petitioner, respondent, all of that, you have to go in and actually create the file. So I think what you have to do is go in here, go to E, block files.
Do we do this too?
Hang on just a second. Let me try to figure it out first. Yeah. So you have to go in and create this little list, if that's what you want to do, you know, for the months. If you want to create these different lists, they're good. It's better with like attorneys. You know, creating lists for attorneys and stuff like that. But you can also do it for the months of the year, days, the year. I just always found it easier just to push E and put the information in.
Yeah.
So it's a little less confusing. But I mean, if you want to do it, this is how you do it. You're going to go into your block files and create a totally different file. So what you're going to do is go into Alt-E, do it now. Go into blocks, check blocks, open, put a name. It's going to be like months.
The file name?
I'm sorry?
Okay, wait. Alt E. And then the
Blocks, open, and it should bring you to here, to where you have all of your stuff, whatever. Are you,
But
you got
it
it?
says, at the bottom, it already has like something in there. It says Class A welcome.
Hmm?
On the bottom, where you have file name right there, it says Class A welcome. Mhm. Yeah, they did welcome.
So you're gonna put like months in here. I already have a month, so I put like months X. Okay? Are y'all here?
I opened the month file. Do you have one?
Do you have a month file?
Yeah. It's
What's
called
in it?
X month or something.
Oh.
What's in it?
That is where you showed us basically.
The months. You already have them. Good. So we don't have to do it. So you should already have it. I think it's called Z month. Is in y'all's file, it's Z month.
So we're creating it, right?
Well, you don't need to create it. It should already be in there, is it?
I don't
Yours
know.
isn't? Okay. Well, then just do month or months. Just do months. I did months Z because I already have months.
Okay.
Okay? And you're going to press enter. It's going to tell you that this file doesn't exist. Well, we know it doesn't exist. We're creating it. Do you want to create the file? Yes, you do. So you put yes. Are you sure you want to create it? Yeah. So it'll bring you to this. Okay? So then you put 1 at, what's 1 at January.
The whole word?
Huh?
The whole word?
Yeah. They need to be fixed. And then you're going to do Shift F5, which will put you on another fixed line. You're going to do 2 at February. And 3 and so on. Okay? So just like that. I'll go all the way down. So I think when you get to the end, I think you may have to do like A, B, C because you run out of letters or whatever. You can still do the numbers. You can do 11, 12, whatever, but you're going to have to go down there probably and check on it because once you push 1, it might go automatically to January. I don't know if it does it or not or whatever. So what you may need to do is just scroll down, highlight it on the 11. So say this was 11, go on there, put it, which will usually light it up, and then just select that one. All right?
So this is like basically giving you a drop-down menu so you can just select a month.
Yeah.
And what would you use a month for? Confused.
It's asking you for the month. I know it sounds weird, Josh. No. You know, like say you're doing a motion to suppress where you have to put the date. So you're gonna have a blank up there for what kind of hearing is it? Well, it's a motion to suppress on blank month of blank day of blank year.
Okay.
So these are things that you're gonna have to change all the time because you're not hearing everything on the same day. Does that make sense? So that's why you would need to
So
create
this would be
those.
like kind of like a title page.
And it was Shift F3?
Yeah. Huh?
Shift F3
For what?
to go back to the next line?
Shift F5.
Oh. No wonder it's up doing something else.
Way to listen. It's for a fixed line. Okay?
And I can show you what he told me, by the way, when you have a chance.
On the
Yeah.
EDs?
It's pretty much the same as the prefixes. Or the prefixes and the hyperkeys. He did the same process.
What was it?
He had me go to all U, and then, like, for the suffixes, he went to they were go to programming,
Oh, he's doing something weird.
and then he had me double click on prefixes and suffixes. And so mine was blank. So that's to check if you have it. So since mine was blank, he had me exit out that. And then,
Everything in there was blank?
yeah,
Wow.
it was blank for me.
Okay.
So he had me go to the user tab, same still an alt U, you go to user, and then you go to import settings. Down a little bit. Yeah. And then, well,
Images?
then you have to go, let me see what mine is. Yeah, so mine has files, I don't know what yours doesn't. But he had me go down to, it's called eclipsecat.set. And he said that's like the, kind of like the default user setting. It's
Oh,
called
okay.
eclipsecat.set.
Yeah.
So you click on that and then you have to like, sorry, it's kind of long, but
Yeah.
then you have
Wow.
to uncheck everything. But yeah.
Really? Well, that sounds fun. Ah,
If there is a problem, just let me know and I'll try
Yeah.
to help them.
wow. So when you come into here and you press E,
Mine pops up like on the, I think it's where it says results. Yours doesn't show it all. Where type in one to press enter result.
huh? Enter result.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know how to word it, but I
Maybe
use
even drinking.
Like right here, I'm right here, and when I press E, this pops up.
When I press 3, I get the,
Oh, okay, that's where you need
the
to
question
add.
mark.
So you
Did
put
you add
add.
it? I don't know.
It didn't work for me. I'll try
But
that.
that's so hard. I'm trying to press 3 and I get the question mark. Unless I gotta be in hyperkey. I think. No, I don't make a difference. I have a whole 6-pack of the white donuts and then 2 cookies. Oh. So gross.
You're funny.
That's stress.
Yeah.
And then I'm stressed.
Yeah, we got a lot of that, right? We got a lot of that.
Or smaller, or transparency, any of that stuff. So that's where you can go in there. Okay, got it? Does your little box come up when you go in there?
On E?
You should be here, somewhere close to here, and then press E, where it goes to months.
I'm still on that, trying to create that
Oh.
one. Well, I was gonna show you what it was doing. Look, I tried to go 3 and look what happened.
I think it's kind of long.
So I stayed stuck there. I know.
And maybe I did something too. When I was pressing like shift 3 and, or alt 3, because you said it was alt 5, right?
Or
Shift
shift.
F5.
So I mean, when I press something else, something did something to me different. I don't know what happened. Let's just exit under.
Yeah, just
Okay.
it's not that important.
No.
Okay, got it? Or not?
Not all of us.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
What?
Make it bigger.
The first week that we were here, we learned that it was Control Shift F7.
Okay.
Okay, so the Control E or the Shift E is the making the form field, remember? Okay, so really, we got that. So now we're going to go into global dialoguing. So it's gonna explain to you what all of these things are when you global something and how to use it. Okay, we've already kind of gone over it, what a lot of this stuff does, but they're going to go into detail more about it.
Let's see some of the choices that AutoMagic offers for dealing with untranslates and global replacements. In 2006, Eclipse introduced Global Magic. Just mark your notes and pick a choice off a list. It's that easy. You can still use the powerful and efficient globaling dialog, but it takes less steps to use AutoMagic. As soon as I put my cursor on the first part of this string that means arthroscopic, Eclipse prepared a 4-stroke stenoglobal. That's what the 4 within parentheses means. And I didn't even have to mark text first, so that saved me several steps. It's choice 3 on the AutoMagic list, so I'll press 3. Now I can press 1 or 2 if I want this definition to go into my main or job dictionary. I would press 3 if I want to browse to another dictionary. Pressing 4 would apply this global to this document without creating a dictionary entry, what Eclipse users call a trash global. And if I press 5 or the escape key or simply move my cursor, then that will mean this was simply a local replacement. In other words, creating a global for this technical word took only 1 or 2 steps and involved no typing at all. Here's a 2-stroke untranslate that means garage. I don't have to start off.
I'm not really stopping it because we've already watched this. I think you pretty much know, and I've explained it what this little 2 means. It just means that it's 2 strokes, remember? It's just 2 strokes, and in the global magic, it's always going to guess what you're doing. So the artificial intelligence is always going to work to help you to figure out, is this what you meant? Okay?
By marking my notes, just place my cursor on the first stroke and pick choice 3 from the AutoMagic list. And now press a number to finish making this global replacement. Again, that would take only 1 or 2 steps. I didn't have to mark notes, and I didn't have to type anything at all. Eclipse Translation Magic does a very good job of understanding things that are not even in your dictionary. But sometimes the guesses can be incorrect. If so, take a look at the top of the AutoMagic list. You'll find additional choices there, and the one you need will probably be right at the top of the list. These are just some of the ways in which AutoMagic helps you deal with untranslates and global replacements with the minimum number of steps.
Got it? Stuff we've already covered. You know, it's not that big of a deal.
Let's see how to quickly select steno strokes to perform global replacements. In the Edit section of User Settings, you'll see the option Global After Scan. If there's a check in that box, here's what it does. When I scan to the next untranslate, Eclipse will automatically highlight one stroke of steno for globaling. If I need additional strokes for globaling, I could simply press Ctrl G as in global. Well, what if I...
It's kind of a good thing to have if you're going to go through there and take your untranslates out. So it's probably a good thing to have checked. Okay? So if you want to, you can go in there and check it now. You need to get out of the lesson. Go back.
Automatically highlight one stroke of steno for globaling. Scan. If there's a check in that box.
And go into global after scan. Okay? So whenever you global, it's automatically going to put the first one in there, the first stroke. Duh. You know? But if you're going through and taking out your untranslates, then that's what it'll do. It'll global the first one. Okay?
But what if you don't want to global every untranslated word? Is that what it's...
Well, you're probably gonna need to. I mean, it gives you the option. You can always exit out. You know, because when it goes in there as a global, you still have that little X where you can exit out. So if it was just a bad stroke that you don't want to, you can use it as a trash stroke, a job entry, stuff like that. So I mean, you know, you can still put it in there. If you stroked it once, pretty good chance you're probably going to do it again, maybe. But I mean, if you were just having a bad day and it was just a bad stroke, then it's no big deal. You can exit out.
Here's what it does. When I scan to the next untranslate, Eclipse will automatically highlight one stroke of steno for globaling. If I need additional strokes for globaling, I could simply press Ctrl G as in global. Well, what if I scan to an untranslate and the steno that I need to add does not come after, but before the untranslate? Here's where the arrows come in handy. You can target steno that comes before your starting point or after it. Although you can use the mouse to point and click.
You see what it's doing? So really, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you know, it's stuff that you can do Control G. You know, if it's a first stroke, but if it's a stroke that's before even that stroke that you need to put in, like, you know, McPherson, and you need to put it in to put it together with McPherce or Pearson, whatever, you know, that's how you do it, is with the arrows. Okay? They're just showing you another way of, you know, being able to do it.
Keyboard commands are generally faster. Your keyboard's up-down arrows will add or subtract steno in front of your starting point, while Control down or Control up will add or subtract steno after your starting point. Of course, you do not have to use automatic global after scan. I prefer to use hyperkeys that make it possible to select multiple steno strokes with one button. So here, instead of having to press Ctrl G 5 times, I can just use hyperkey 0 to catch the 5 strokes with one button.
Y'all remember that? 7 is how many? Y'all do remember.
0.
Hmm?
Isn't it 0?
7 is 2. 8 is 3. 9 is 4. 0 is 5.
I don't like that. I'd rather just press Control.
And it is. To me, the next time I use it will be the first time I use it. Okay, it doesn't really conform to what I needed to. I think it's just easier just to push the Control G. But, you know, if you already know that it's 3 strokes, it's gonna be 8. Thank you, Josh.
It's too bad.
Sure.
Yeah, I just always found it, you know, better to, or easier, just to do the Control G.
Let's see how to use auto replacements for error prevention and speed typing. Settings, Programming, Auto Replacements. Eclipse installs a few hundred auto replacements to prevent typing errors. I'll use the Modify button to see what this first one means. So if I accidentally type the word can as ACN, Eclipse automatically replaces it with CAN. You can remove items from this list or add without limit. Auto replacements are great for speed typing, and the steno that's already in your head makes great shortcuts. After typing the shortcut, pressing the spacebar or enter key automatically triggers the auto replacement.
You see what it's doing? We've already gone over this too, but it's actually pretty cool. I don't really use it, but I mean, it's kind of a neat little thing. If you have phrases that you have all the time, well, actually, you know what? I did use it once, and I had a guy that, holy cow, he kept saying, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And if you ever get somebody that talks like that, they say it like it's one word. Know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? Holy cow. In a court hearing that went several hours, and I wanted to choke, do you know what I mean? But, you know, work smarter, not harder, remember? I told you? So all I did was just come up with a brief. DOIM. DOIM. You know what I mean? DOIMS. You know what I'm saying? DOIMS.
No.
And it was just boom, boom. And I'm telling you, if you ever have, and you'll have it eventually, a depot where, I mean, just somebody just says something just so fast, you know, and people just, and I had a lady that kept saying, and that. We went to the store and that, and you know, and then they said something funny and that, and that. And it was just, you know, so you'll have, and it was just part of her vocabulary. That's just the way she spoke, you know, and that, you know, and blah, 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 and that, you know, and that. No, I don't know and that. But, so you'll come up with stuff, you know, I was just, you know, what was it? AT asterisk. AT asterisk was and that. And that.
But
You
how
know,
do you come up with that, like, while you're typing? Like, I feel like I'd have to, like, think about it.
Trust me, Katie, it's weird. But they taught us in school, when I was going to school, that the average human mind thinks at 900 words a minute. I can tell you, and I'm no Einstein, but I think mine is faster than 900. I mean, my mind is just always going. It's going, you know? And it's amazing how once you know how to do this and you're taking it down, things just come quick. And your mind is always thinking.
And all you gotta do is just add it into your dictionary like really quick,
Yeah.
right? And then there you go.
And there you go. But you'll find, and you'll realize it later, maybe you'll realize it now once I tell you, is that your mind is what talks you out of being able to do 225 right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking too much. And the whole point of getting this is just hearing it and writing it. You don't pay attention to the story. You don't, and I do sometimes, I still do. You know, and I had one of the DAs ask me, it's like, hey, what was that attorney's name? I don't know. Well, didn't you take it down? Yeah, I've got it. Well, you weren't listening? No, I was hearing. I heard what she said. Listening involves paying attention. I wasn't paying attention, but I got it all down. Lifted up my notes, and there it was. The lady's name. Had no idea. Zero. What her name even was. Nothing. But you kind of get to where you just hear it and write it. And that's all this is hearing, writing. Not paying attention, not, is that McPherson with a PH or an F, or who cares? Who cares? Whether it's a PH, F, silent S, I don't care. I'm just hearing it and writing it. That's all it is, okay? You figure it out later. This, getting it down, is just hearing it and writing it, okay?
If you notice you just mistyped a word and the system did not correct it for you automatically, just go ahead and type in the correction and then space over. Then press a Shift-Alt-A will automatically correct the error and create an auto replacement for you. This makes it...
So if you type something all the time, and like there's certain things, and I don't know what it is about she, but I always do it like HSE. Or EHS, or so, and it just automatically corrects it. And once you start doing it after a while, Automagic's probably going to correct it for you anyway. It does for me. And I don't remember creating the auto replacements or whatever. But these are really good if you have stuff that you do all the time. You always misspell really. And it's not like you're not really misspelling it, it's just typing it. You just don't type it right. It'll do it for you automatically. So that's what these little auto replacements are. Yeah, you in the back.
So I remember I was talking about this and I was trying to remember what the difference between this and a slop stroke was. I'm not sure if I know the difference.
Between this and a slop stroke?
Yeah, for this one, do you have to manually...
This is more of the English. This is the English part of it. So if you have, you're just typing stuff in, you're just inserting stuff. So you're you're not in hyperkeys, anything. So you just have and it's like you had a drop or whatever, and you have to go in there and type really. And you always type it RELALY. It'll automatically correct it. These will auto replace. So if it's wrong inside of your text, this is where it shows you how to do it easily.
Then press a Shift-Alt-A will automatically correct a word and the system did not correct it.
See, so how it went in there, and maybe you globaled it as really, and you did it wrong. No big deal. I mean, if you did it once, you're probably going to do it again or whatever. So they're going to show you how to do it. And it's put the real word in, space over, then do the Control-A, I believe.
Did for you automatically. Just go ahead and type in the correction and then space over. Then press a Shift-Alt-A will automatically correct the error and create an auto replacement for you. This makes it very easy to teach Eclipse which words need to be automatically replaced.
Got it? Pretty good.
You can create an auto replacement while you're in the globaling dialog. Just type the letters for your shortcut with the equal sign, and then the text for your global as usual. Eclipse will offer to create your auto replacement, which you can then use anytime you need to type this text.
You see what it did right there? Did you see what it did? So if you do it as an equal, like say you stroked it correctly, Ford Motor Company, but you use it as, you know what? We're going to be taking months and months of depots in this Ford Motor Company versus blah, blah, blah. So I know that I'm going to be typing Ford Motor Company a bunch. Well, let's just say you dropped and you have to type it in every time. You don't have to do it. You do FMC and it puts it in there. All right, I'm gonna play it again.
You can create an auto replacement while you're in the globaling dialog.
So you see how they stroked it out correctly, Ford Motor Company. Okay, if that's the way you do company.
Yeah. I do it like that.
Lady. But if you do, I mean, see how it's correct?
Just type the letters for your shortcut.
So you do your shortcut, whatever you want it to be, equals Ford Motor Company, and this is on a global. So it's on a global, okay? Well, it's gonna know to create an auto replacement.
With the equal sign, and then the text for your global as usual. Eclipse will offer to create your auto replacement, which you can then use anytime you need to type this text.
You see how he just typed FMC and Ford Motor Company came up? Pretty cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All this stuff that we're doing in Eclipse, if we get a new computer, will it transfer over?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
So all of it's in your,
It's all in the software.
like your dictionary, stuff like that. So it's stuff that should be in your dictionary.
Here's what happens if you ask Eclipse to suggest additional dictionary entries and you have a check in the box next to normalize. The system analyzes the steno you're defining to see if it contains keys that could just as easily have been written at the beginning or end of a steno stroke, or even doubled as the end of one stroke and the beginning of the next.
I don't even know what they were.
Here's what happens if you ask Eclipse to suggest additional dictionary entries and you have a check in the box next to normalize. The system analyzes the steno you're defining to see if it contains keys that could just as easily have been written at the beginning or end of a steno stroke, or even doubled as the end of one stroke and the beginning of the next.
I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's like writing pity. How would you write it? Would you write it pit E? No, it's going to be pit T. You know, even though it's pity, pity. Or is it pity? Whatever. I mean, I wouldn't write it just the long E, pit E. I always come back with the T. I think that's what they were talking about on strokes.
Here's what happens if you ask Eclipse to suggest additional dictionary entries and you have a check in the box next to integral, prefixes, suffixes. Eclipse analyzes the steno that you're defining to see if you could just as easily have added additional keys to indicate a suffix or even a prefix. However, the suggested entries are not added unless you accept them. So you can't cancel without accepting any suggestions. Or you can pick specific entries to be added, or you can accept them all with one button. If you're a more advanced user, you can get this feature to better support your writing style. Just go to the programming section of user settings and edit the integral, prefix, and suffix steno definitions. Here's one quick example. Let's say that you write the suffix s whenever possible by adding a z to your steno stroke. I'll modify this line to say Eclipse has permission to suggest an additional entry for a word that ends with the suffix s if it's possible to add final z to the steno that's being defined. Of course, that's only possible if the z is not already present. So I'll use the keys button, say a z cannot already be present, and then press the OK button. As you can see from this example, you can add a lot of lines to this part of your user settings in order to take maximum advantage of the globaling suggestions.
I have no idea. Zero there. You know, when you're going to put an S for a Z or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you use the SD for this EIS?
SD? Like for accident?
No, for like distinct.
No.
Because, yeah,
What?
I was just saying like, one of our teachers is not like pushing it, but like wanting us to use it, but it's so confusing, I don't understand it.
And if it's confusing, don't use it. Don't use it. You know, guys, if you have to sit there and think about it, it ain't good. And not that it's not good, maybe you just don't understand it. And maybe it's something that's really good. It's like using briefs, okay? I never used them in school because they confused me. I always had to think about them too much. You know, and I guess my mind was just thinking way too fast anyway, back then. Well, now my mind is in the realm of court reporting. So now I'm always thinking about, well, how can I shorten that? And if I hear that again, well, I'm not doing that. I'm all about smarter, not harder. You know, so I'm always thinking about how to shorten stuff, how to make it easier. But back then it was like, SD for DIS, and you know, it confused me. So then I'm sitting there, and maybe it was good. You know, I just didn't learn it that way. So like, you know, that, like I told y'all before, they tell you can't get out of school by stroking everything out. They're crazy. I did it. I did it. But it was just easier for me to hear it and just write it. Just write it. Everything. Out. Everything. You know, there were a few like beyond a reasonable doubt, state your name, stuff like that. But for the most part, you know, preponderance of the evidence. But for the most part, I didn't use briefs. But if you're going to use a brief, the whole point of a brief is a shortcut. Okay? It's not a, well, I know I have a brief for that. Is it SDI? And they're still talking. And you drop 15 words trying to remember one word? Or trying to remember a brief for 2 or 3 words and you're 10 words in? It's not working. And I'm not saying that it's not a good brief or it's not something good to use. And maybe, you know, you'll like it. Practice it. Practice it. And if it's good, it's like, man, well, it's not, The whole point of a brief is that it should come to you quick. And if it doesn't, then one, it's not good, or two, you know what, it's good, I just need to keep practicing it. You know, get your boyfriend, your mom, dad, whatever, husband, kids, and you make little flashcards. And you just say, disappointed, disillusioned, whatever, okay? I don't even know if these are the words that you're talking about, is it?
I really, like I said, I haven't even like really looked into it. It's-
Okay.
Like decision, like suspicion. Or like
Oh,
discuss.
It's like the beginning of the word DIS.
Okay.
Like I said, like,
So
or
like,
the DIS, like distinct, like,
It's a kissing very.
oh, okay.
like, I'm trying to think what's some other, dist, like, I just, like.
Or distinguished, I don't know, like dysfunctional, because those are all like prefixes. These are like prefixes to words. I don't know if it's part of the word that has to be DIS.
Like I said, I didn't really.
Distilled,
I just wonder if you did it.
I don't. You know, I write dis. Or like even discount is discount still to this day. But I guarantee you I can stroke it quicker than anybody can stroke out SDOUNT or however they stroke it out. But my brain is just that way.
Yeah.
That it's just geared that way that it goes. I don't know.
Did
You
you
know?
write out numbers when you graduated?
I'm sorry?
Did you use the number bar at all?
Yeah, we learned the number bar. Yeah.
So I know what I want to do with that.
We learned it too, but I'm just so slow at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how I use like for second or first,
Yeah.
the E and the asterisk?
Yeah.
How do I put that in my dictionary for like, because every time I struggle.
For your ordinals, like first,
I
one
forgot.
ST,
Yeah.
two ND, three ED, and you're using what, one E,
I'm-
two E?
I'm doing like two E asterisk. I don't know why I put the asterisk, but I do.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
E
I'd probably
asterisk?
drop that asterisk.
Because I like the E. I like.
The E is fantastic, and that's how I learned it, was one E, two E, three E, four E, five E. But I kind of learned it a different way. Let me finish this. Let me finish this thing, and then we may be done already. I may have been in. Let's,
You'll find unglobal in the edit menu.
Bless you.
Let's see what it does. In a dictionary, you can use unglobal to do the same thing as unmerge. So if I read in the contents of my Chemo dictionary, I can either right-click and select unmerge, or go to the edit menu and select unglobal to say take out the entries that I merged in from the Chemo dictionary. In this small text file, I'll create 3 job globals so that you can see them clearly in the upper right-hand corner in the job dictionary. Edit, unglobal. This window shows me that Eclipse is tracking my globals. The most recent global is always at the top of the list. Okay, unglobal. The entry has been removed from the dictionary in which it was placed, and my text file looks as it did before I made the global. One more time. I'll pick David Smith Jones. Okay, unglobal. The entry is taken out of the dictionary, and my text is restored to pre-globaling condition. One last example. Unglobal. At this point, my dictionary is empty, and my text is restored to pre-globaling condition. One final note. Rather than opening the unglobal list and choosing the global that you want to undo, it's often easier to simply re-global. But use whichever approach works well for you.
I don't know, whatever. Not quite sure why you would want to unglobal something, but whatever. But if you do, that's how you do it. Whatever.
It's confusing.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're pretty much done for today. Guys, you might want to start making plans. I think we're going to start staying later. Okay? Because once we get on the machines and we start doing stuff, we need to finish up these lessons, which are going to go quick. They're going to go quick, but we're probably going to start staying a little bit later. Okay? We're going to finish up these things, and then we're going to get on the machines, and we're going to start. Once we get to speakers, stuff like that, it's going to start flying. Okay? Because we're going to start really using different stuff. So we're going to get into writing on the machine. Okay? So, and that's what the final is going to be. Okay?
What?
Doing stuff, writing on your machine.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be getting out a transcript. Okay? And that's what we're going to start gearing towards. Okay? Is kind of flying through some of these things and gearing more towards being on your computer and the machine. Okay? Any questions?
No, just her. What she was saying.
No? Okay. We'll see y'all next week.
Okay.